All right, so get ready because today we are taking a deep dive into some ancient wisdom. We're going to be tackling Proverbs chapters 13 through 15.
Ooh, exciting.
It's going to be great. And you might think, oh, Proverbs, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But trust me, there is so much to unpack here.
Yeah, they're jam-packed, these chapters.
Terrific.
They really are, like a crash course in wise living, even all these years later.
I know, it's credible.
Yeah.
And one thing that really jumped out at me is how much these chapters focus on contrasting the righteous and the wicked.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
It's like they're showing you the two paths you can take and what the consequences are down each of them.
It's really fascinating how they lay out not just what people do, but the ripple effects of those choices.
Yeah, it's like the long game.
Yeah.
It's not just about being good or bad. It's about understanding the long game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the biggest themes I noticed right off the bat is this constant tension between wisdom and foolishness.
Yeah, that's a key one for sure.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
like take Proverbs 13.1, for example. Um, a wise son accepts his father's discipline, but a scoffer does not listen to rebuke.
Right.
Now, you might read that and think, okay, pretty obvious, right? But think about how this applies to you today.
Yeah.
Are you open to feedback even when it's tough to hear?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have people in your life who can give you that honest perspective?
That is such a good point. It's so easy to surround ourselves with yes people.
Right.
But having someone who can really challenge you and your thinking is invaluable.
It is.
And it makes me think about that other proverb, 14.7, leave the presence of a fool, or you will not discern words of knowledge.
Oh, that's a good one.
We all know those people who drain your energy, right?
Yes.
And don't really bring anything constructive to the table.
Lovely.
Maybe this is a sign to reevaluate some of those relationships.
I think that's a really wise takeaway.
Yeah.
We become like the company we keep, so it's crucial to choose carefully. And this ties into 15.5 as well, which says, a fool rejects his father's discipline, but he who complies with rebuke is sensible.
Right.
So it reinforces that pattern that we were just talking about. The wise person is always learning, always growing.
Always choosing the path of growth,
Yes.
even when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Another thing that really struck me in these chapters is how much emphasis is placed on the power of words.
That's something that transcends time, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah, the weight of our words, it's always been there.
Always.
So powerful.
For sure. Like Proverbs 13.3 says, one who guards his mouth protects his life. One who opens wide his lips comes to ruin.
Ooh, I like that one.
It's a stark reminder that our words can literally build up or destroy.
Yeah.
I bet we can all think of a time when we said something we regretted
Yeah.
or when someone's words really hurt us.
Oh, absolutely. I know I can.
Yeah, and conversely, we can all remember those instances where a kind word or just a genuine compliment made our day. It speaks to the power of Proverbs 15.1. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger.
Mm-hmm.
Choosing our words carefully can de-escalate a conflict before it even begins.
So powerful.
It really is. It's like you have this superpower to change the entire direction of a conversation with just a few words.
I love that. Yeah.
And then there's 15.4, which says, a soothing tongue is a tree of life, but perversion in it crushes the spirit. That imagery is so powerful.
It is.
It really drives home the point that our words have a lasting impact,
Right.
both positive and negative.
It makes you consider what kind of impact you're having on the people around you, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Are your words bringing life and encouragement, or are they causing pain and division?
That's a powerful question to ask ourselves.
It is.
So we've talked about the dangers of foolishness. We've talked about the impact of our words. But these chapters also paint a pretty vivid picture of what happens when you choose the path of righteousness.
They do, and it's not all fire and brimstone either. It's suggesting that living a righteous life, it brings genuine joy and fulfillment.
Right, like in Proverbs 13.9, which says, the light of the righteous rejoices, but the lamp of the wicked goes out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like righteousness illuminates your path, while wickedness leads to darkness and emptiness.
And that's not just a feel-good sentiment. It has real-world implications.
It does.
Look at 13.22, which talks about a good person leaving an inheritance for their grandchildren. It's not just about money. It's about the legacy we leave behind.
Yeah.
Are we building something that will last, something that will benefit future generations?
That's such a powerful way to think about it.
Isn't it?
It's like we're all building something, whether we realize it or not.
Yes.
And the materials we use, the choices we make, will determine the strength and longevity of that structure.
Exactly. And speaking of building something lasting, 14.26 reminds us that in the fear of the Lord there is strong confidence, and his children will have refuge. It's like finding that unshakable foundation for your life, a source of strength and security that can weather any storm.
That kind of peace is priceless. It's
It's
about knowing that even when things are tough, you have something to hold on to. Something bigger than yourself.
Absolutely. But it's also important to remember that these proverbs aren't just about painting this rosy picture of righteousness.
Right.
They also get real about the consequences of wickedness.
Oh, for sure. In fact, some of the most sobering verses in these chapters are the ones that deal with the downfall of the wicked.
Right.
It's almost like they're saying, hey, if you choose this path, here's what you can expect.
They don't sugarcoat it.
They don't.
Take 13.6, for instance. Righteousness guards the one whose way is blameless, but wickedness brings the sinner to ruin.
Yeah.
It's a pretty clear warning that wickedness is ultimately self-destructive.
It's like building your house on sand instead of solid rock.
Yeah.
It might look good for a while, but eventually it's going to crumble. And speaking of foundations, 14.1 where it says, the house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tent of the upright will flourish. Again, that contrast between instability and lasting prosperity is so striking.
And it highlights the idea that true success isn't about short-term gains or material wealth.
Right.
It's about building a life on integrity and righteousness, which ultimately leads to a more secure and fulfilling existence.
That brings us to 15.27, which says, he who profits illicitly troubles his own house, but he who hates bribes will live. It's a reminder that cutting corners or seeking dishonest gain might seem appealing in the moment, but it always comes back to bite you.
It's like choosing long-term peace of mind over short-term gains.
It is.
And sometimes those are the toughest choices to make.
They are. Well, we've covered a lot of ground here. From wisdom and foolishness to the power of words and the consequences of both righteousness and wickedness.
Well, you have.
It's amazing how these ancient proverbs still speak so directly to our lives today.
It really is. It makes you wonder what other gems we might uncover as we continue to explore.
Well, luckily for us, we've got more proverbs to dive into.
We do.
Let's stay tuned because we're about to go even deeper.
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. Welcome back. We're continuing our journey through Proverbs chapters 13 through 15. And let me tell you, the wisdom just keeps flowing.
I know. I'm ready for more.
So much good stuff in here.
Where should we head next on this map of ancient advice?
Well, in the last part, we talked about righteousness and wickedness
Yeah.
on a grand scale, But these chapters also zoom in on something pretty fundamental. The home and family.
Yeah, you're right. And I remember that line from Proverbs 14.1. The wise woman builds her house, but the foolish tears it down with her own hands.
Ooh, that's a powerful image.
It is. It's so powerful.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What are the building blocks of a strong family? Is it about physical things or something more?
Exactly. It seems to be saying that, the choices we make within our families, the way we treat each other,
Right.
can either create a strong foundation or completely undermine it.
Yeah, and Proverbs 13.24 adds another layer to this. He who withholds his rod hates his son, but he who loves him disciplines him diligently.
Right.
Now, this verse can be a little tricky to navigate in modern times,
You can.
but the core idea, I think, is about guiding children with love and intention.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's not about punishment for its own sake.
That doesn't.
It's about setting boundaries, helping kids develop into responsible adults.
Right.
Discipline, when done right, is actually a form of love.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
These proverbs, they often present kind of these seemingly opposite ideas
I do.
to drive home a point.
Yes,
Have you noticed that?
I have. Like in Proverbs 15.1, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger.
Yeah.
The contrast between those two approaches is so stark, it really makes you think about the impact of your words.
It's that literary device antithesis that we were talking about.
right.
By putting those extremes side by side, you're forced to confront the choice you're making. And we see it again in Proverbs 13.9, where the light of the righteous is contrasted with the extinguished lamp of the wicked.
It's like choose your own adventure.
I know.
You get to decide which path you want to take, but the consequences are laid out pretty clearly.
They are, absolutely. And there's quite a few proverbs that emphasize this need for careful planning and deliberation.
Mm-hmm.
Think about 15.22. Without consultation, plans are frustrated, but with many counselors, they succeed.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that, we don't have all the answers.
No, we don't.
That seeking wise counsel is crucial for making sound decisions.
It's like two heads are better than one.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get so caught up in our own perspective,
We do.
we forget to ask for help
Yeah.
or to consider other viewpoints.
Totally. And then there's 14.15, which cautions against being too trusting, too impulsive.
Right.
The naive believes everything, but the sensible person considers his steps.
Yeah.
It's urging us to be discerning, to think critically,
Right.
not just jump into things without weighing the options.
It's so easy to get swept up in the moment
Yeah,
and to make a decision based on emotion or what seems convenient at the time.
it is.
But these proverbs are reminding us to slow down, to gather information, and think about those long-term consequences.
That's the hallmark of wisdom, isn't it?
It is.
You know, the fool rushes in, but the wise person takes the time to consider carefully.
Right.
And, this ties back to what we were saying earlier about the consequences of our choices. There's this recurring theme of reaping what you sow.
It's like karma, right?
Yes.
What you put out into the world comes back to you.
Exactly. Take Proverbs 13.2, for example. From the fruit of a person's mouth, he enjoys good, but the desire of the treacherous is violence.
Okay.
So it's saying that if you speak kindly and honestly, you'll cultivate positive relationships and experience peace.
Yeah.
But if you're deceitful or speak harshly, you'll reap those negative consequences.
Makes sense.
And 14.31 adds another dimension to this idea. One who oppresses the poor taunts his maker, but one who is gracious to the needy honors him.
Right.
So it's not just about personal consequences. It's about how our actions impact others and reflect our relationship with a higher power.
It takes it to a whole other level.
Elevates that reap what you sow
Yes.
beyond just individual outcomes.
Wow. These proverbs really pack a punch. They cover so much ground in just a few verses.
I know, it's incredible.
Where do we even go from here?
There's still plenty to explore.
Okay.
And in the next part, we'll delve into some themes that might surprise you.
All right. I can't wait. Wow. We've been on quite the journey through Proverbs. So many twists and turns.
I know. It's amazing how these ancient words still offer guidance
They do.
for all the stuff we deal with today.
I know. And one thing that keeps coming up for me is this theme of humility.
Oh, yeah,
It seems to be woven throughout these chapters.
it is.
Almost like a secret ingredient for a well-lived life.
Yeah. Yeah. Proverbs repeatedly emphasizes humility as a cornerstone of wisdom and righteousness.
It does.
Remember 15.33, the fear of the Lord is the instruction for wisdom, and before honor comes humility.
Right.
It's suggesting that true wisdom begins with recognizing that we don't have all the answers, that there's always more to learn.
And that acknowledging a power greater than ourselves
Yeah,
can help keep our egos in check, right?
absolutely. And Proverbs doesn't shy away from those consequences either.
It doesn't.
Remember 15.25, the Lord will tear down the house of the proud, but he will set the boundary of the widow.
Oh, yeah.
It's a stark reminder that pride often leads to downfall, while humility allows for growth and resilience.
It's like that saying, the bigger the ego, the harder the fall.
Totally.
Humility keeps you grounded,
Yeah,
open to learning from your mistakes.
right.
And speaking of learning, there are so many proverbs that emphasize the importance of seeking knowledge and understanding.
It's a constant refrain throughout these chapters.
It is.
It's like 14.6. A scoffer seeks wisdom and finds none, but knowledge is easy for one who has understanding. It suggests that if you approach life with a closed mind and a sense of arrogance, you're not going to get very far.
No.
But if you're humble and open to learning, knowledge will come more easily.
It's about having that childlike curiosity, that willingness to say, I don't know everything, but I'm eager to learn.
Yeah, and in a world that's constantly changing, that kind of attitude is more important than ever.
It is.
We need to be discerning, seek out reliable sources,
Right.
be willing to challenge our own assumptions,
Yep.
be active participants in our own learning journey rather than passive consumers of whatever comes our way.
That's what we've been doing in this deep dive, wouldn't you say?
I think so.
We haven't just accepted these proverbs at face value.
Yeah.
We've wrestled with them, explored different interpretations, and tried to apply their wisdom to our own lives.
Exactly. And that's what makes these ancient teachings so powerful. They're not just a set of rules to follow. They're a springboard for deeper reflection and personal growth.
So as we wrap up our exploration of Proverbs 13 through 15, I'm left with a sense of awe at the enduring wisdom contained in these verses.
Me too.
It feels like we've only scratched the surface.
There's always more to discover.
There is.
But even in this short time, we've uncovered some really profound insights
Oh, yeah.
into human nature, relationships, and the pursuit of a meaningful life.
It's a reminder that wisdom is timeless.
Yeah,
And these proverbs offer a roadmap
they do.
for anyone seeking to live a life of purpose, integrity, and fulfillment.
I like that. A roadmap. That's a good way to put it.
And as you go about your day, consider this. Which of the many proverbs we've discussed today resonated most deeply with you? And how might you apply its wisdom to a challenge or opportunity you're facing right now?
Great questions to ponder.
They are. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Proverbs.
Yeah, this was great.
Until next time, keep seeking wisdom, keep learning, and keep striving to live a life that reflects the timeless truths we've uncovered.
Couldn't have said it better myself.